Okay, welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great show today. We got Linda P. Jones with us today, 25-year Wall Street veteran, former CFP, and also a book author and podcaster. We're going to roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here. We are with Linda P. Jones today, a former 25-year Wall Street veteran and former CFP, a author and a podcaster. Linda, how are you today?
I'm great, Brad. I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. I know we've had an incredible conversation off camera, and I can't wait to have, or off the live feed here, and I cannot wait for everyone to hear this conversation we're about to have. Your podcast is Be Wealthy and Smart, and you have a book that's recently out, and it's on crypto. Tell us about your book, Linda.
Yes, it came out in November. It's called 3 Steps to Quantum Wealth, The Wealth Heiress's Guide to Financial Freedom by Investing in Cryptocurrencies. And the idea was really to talk about the ISO 20022 cryptos, the new financial system that I think is in process, and XRP being the lead of that, and just why this is a special, unique opportunity, an early opportunity for people to get in and build wealth, unlike anything we've ever seen in our lifetimes.
Well said, Linda. And, you know, to that point of the book and the ISO 20022, the coins, the messaging system, and the new de facto global standard for messaging and payments, there was a video recently of you talking about Swift, the messaging company, right? The bank-owned messaging system for the world. And you talked about the idea of XRP being used in that system and 10% adoption being $1,200 for XRP. Linda, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I actually was quoting someone on Twitter named Universe20 who made the tweet that 10% of the money from the Swift system running on XRP would cause a price of about $1,200. Now, that was something that I had seen researched before. And just the utility, the cash flow, the amount of money and value that's running across the XRP ledger has been shown that it would equate to about a $1,200 price if just 10% of the Swift money, the money that runs in the traditional banking system, were to move over to the XRP ledger. And in fact, we know that there is a private ledger being used by central banks right now that is where the money is flowing. And it's not through our 74 or 75 cent XRP right now. There is actually a private ledger that XRP has publicly acknowledged. We have articles, et cetera, about that. And so I believe that that money is already moving in the background in a big way, but we're not seeing it in XRP's price today.
You know, you make such a good point talking about the Ripple private ledger for central banks to launch central bank digital currencies, for which, to your point, Central Bank of Bhutan, now the Republic of Palau, has come out, said they're going to launch a national currency backed by the US dollar on the XRP ledger. We also know that recently the Digital Euro Association has brought Ripple on as a member. We know that that more than likely represents all 27 countries in the European Union. Things are heating up a little bit, aren't they?
They absolutely are. I think they're underway. I think this invasion of Ukraine by Russia is part of the conversion from the SWIFT system, because as those sanctions are happening against Russia, they are moving Russia out of the SWIFT system, which Russia already anticipated. And so did the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. So the BRICS countries had already created a cross-border interpayment bank system called SIPS. And that is an alternative to the SWIFT system. And so all the money from those BRICS countries can use the SIPS system, essentially leaving the dollar out of international trade.
Absolutely. And that would create a phrase that we hear often now, especially when it comes to crypto, Linda, like the executive order that's been said is to be a matter of national security, and that is going to be about crypto. And what you just described could be described as a matter of national security because of the workaround to the US dollar as the global reserve currency. What say you?
I absolutely believe that this will become a matter of national security, because if all other countries have left the dollar in the dust, we can't be the only one in the system. And the system is so outdated. It's a 50-year-old technology, and it's slow, cumbersome, expensive, high fees, and requires $27 trillion in those Nostro Vostro accounts that are for foreign exchange, which is money just sitting there in the system that doesn't function or do anything. And that would free up that money. It would help enormously to be able to use that money. And this is all, I think, coming to a head.
Well, you make such a good point here because when we're talking about a matter of national security for, not only what's going on between Russia and Ukraine and Russia and China and their new financial system, which is built, as you say, we also look at the idea of the U.S. Treasury here because we are talking about money. We are talking about the implications to the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency. We have heard many conversations with others in the digital asset space and in the XRP space. And certainly on my channel, we talk often about XRP as a bridge currency and ultimately serving as a reserve currency asset because it could work as a bridge currency and does. And the idea of the XRP ledger itself being a decentralized exchange. Can you talk about that for a second?
Well, yes, I think the beauty of the decentralized exchange is that nobody essentially is in charge. Right now, with the Federal Reserve being in charge, we have the dollar, of course, being the world's reserve currency, which gives it sort of a unique situation among all currencies in that it has ultimate power over a lot of other currencies, and it can be used as a weapon against countries for doing certain things, which, in this case, if you're not happy with a country invading another country, that's one way you can use it as a weapon. But sometimes it can be used as a weapon that's not necessarily as good. So it's a lot of power, and it's a lot of power for one organization to have. And it's time probably for the world to have more of a decentralized situation with money and finance so that they don't just have one country completely in control, but more of a level playing field for everyone. And I think that's where we're going.
It does appear that we are seeing the first steps of, let's say, the BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, making that move between Russia and China because they do have that financial system to begin to obfuscate or work around the SWIFT messaging system. And if that's the case, we have to start looking at the idea of this new technology like distributed ledger technology, the XRP ledger, which is also a decentralized exchange. It could serve in this function to really bring a backbone to a new financial system. Do you think?
Absolutely. I see that this could be handling anything of value. I mean, that's the beauty of XRP, is that it's the bridge currency, as you say, that can handle whether it's currencies or whether it's securities or whether it's real estate, anything that's tokenized, anything of value, derivatives. When you add it all up, it literally could handle quadrillions of dollars of value. And this is a unique technology that is bringing us forward into, I think, a new monetary system that's going to be inexpensive, fast, green energy, low fee, just a total new system. It's like being as easy to send an email, as Ripple says. They want to be the internet of value, easy as sending an email, and you're sending money. And that is something that was sort of left out of the whole internet. We sent communications with the internet, but we left out the monetary piece. And now we're moving into the next stage, which is the monetary piece.
Well said. Yeah. And when I look at this, I want to go back because, I mean, what we are talking about is, like you said, a new monetary piece added to the internet and to the new financial system in a more secure, more scalable way, I guess, secure in the regard that it's, an immutable ledger. You can see where all the transactions went. There is no changing things around. But I want to go back to matter of national security. Whether we're talking about the executive order for crypto in the United States that we haven't got yet, which we should get any day, or whether we're talking about this ledger that can certainly serve the world in the way that we've been talking about so far. This is a matter of national security here. We're talking about moving all the money, right, Linda? All the money.
I think all the money, and I think we are getting to a point where we're seeing certain markets start to creak and crack a little bit, where we may have some collapses that we have to deal with, where it's going to force us into a reset. And this would be a global reset, not the Klaus Schwab type of reset where they control us and take all of our property, not that one. This would be a reset that would basically reset the value of a lot of assets. And I think they could do that if they reset, for example, the price of gold to, let's say, a $10,000 value, and then that equates to a $10,000 XRP. That could reinflate all of those countries that do have a collapse or do lose any value, or maybe have debt canceled through a debt jubilee, and all that's gone. You then can recreate and reinflate in a positive way all of those countries with value by pegging XRP to something of value like that.
So in other words, using gold to really give the confidence, as they say, God's money, right?
That's right.
Using gold to give the confidence to the new financial system for all the players of the world to say, hey, this is backed by this asset, right? To really shore up this new system if we see this collapse, which does appear that we're going to see some kind of huge correction, if not a collapse. Now, Linda, I
just want to say to that point, Brad, that if you remember back when Judy Shelton was talking about this, she talked about a new gold standard in a cryptocurrency kind of way, was her quote.
Yes.
And I believe that that was something that central banks were talking about at that time. I believe that they've continued to talk about it and are moving forward with doing that.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, if that happens, Linda, we're going to hear from the U.S. Treasury, and I would imagine FSOC, the Financial Stability Oversight Council, and OFAC, the Foreign Asset Council, on that side of things. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we know that the U.S. Treasury has already said that XRP is a currency, not a security. We know also that we need legislation in order to move forward with central bank digital currencies here in the US and elsewhere. And we're waiting for that clarity and the legal laws so that we can move forward with the CBDC, a central bank digital currency. So I think that's all right, getting here close in this window of time here. And we're expecting, some sort of regulation coming forward that will give it legitimacy, and hopefully that will provide the clarity that XRP is looking for as well.
I well said on that. And, speaking of which, the case has been said by the legal analysts that follow it. Obviously, we could see a settlement at any time because it could be a settlement, but no later than September to November timeframe, we could see a summary judgment. And this case is over, Linda. What is your thoughts when this case is over? What do you see?
Well, I think we're going to finally get the clarity, but let's back up to when the lawsuit was brought, because I was owning XRP a little bit before the time that the lawsuit was brought. And wasn't it interesting, Brad, that when that lawsuit happened, all of the exchanges immediately removed it, as if there was some already pre-agreed to, procedure that was going to happen when the lawsuit was announced. And so very few have kept it on their exchanges, Uphold, BitTrue, KuCoin. But most have removed it, and it's been very hard for people to get XRP. In addition, another exchange in Canada has just taken it off. And I think with the announcement of Liquidity Hub by Ripple, that they're telling us they don't need exchanges to relist it, that they are going to be an exchange handling it in the future. What do you think?
Well, you and I talked about this, and the great question is, will we see XRP relisted in the secondary market? And, I think there's a great chance that we don't. And we do. Let me explain. So I agree with you that, XRP ledger is a decentralized ledger, and they could make the market on that ledger. And I think that's a great point about all of this. And they don't need the exchanges if they have the XRP ledger, because it is a decentralized exchange for the world. If we see XRP relisted, I believe it will be to possibly, and I could be wrong, and believe me, I say it all the time on my channel. If I'm wrong, I'll make the video. But I believe if we see XRP relisted in the secondary market, it will be to drain the market and to buy out the order books and to push the price to whatever that price will be on the secondary market once all of the order books are bought out. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that that could happen in order to drain the rest of the secondary market of whatever liquidity of XRP is out here, besides the holders like you and I, who are not giving up until it's a really high price. Now, with that being said, when we think about it being drained off the secondary market, you say to yourself, well, Brad, where are you getting this from? Well, where I'm really getting it from is from Ripple. Because Ripple has said since this case that I think it's the fourth quarter of 2019, they haven't been doing programmatic sales. So that means no secondary sales from Ripple over the counter to exchanges. And we got even more information in fourth quarter of 21 Q4 report where they said they still aren't selling any programmatic sales to secondary exchange at secondary market. Not only that, Linda, but they're buying it back off the secondary market too.
Right. Yes, they are. And that goes right in with the whole flip the switch comment that we've heard too, that we know that overnight there's going to be, I believe, a merging of the two ledgers, the private ledger, the CBDC ledger that's being used right now by banks behind the scenes, with the retail market, which will cause the retail value to increase dramatically overnight. I think that flip the switch is real.
I think the flip the switch is real too. And I tell you, to our point of thinking that it's real, I remind everyone here that I think it was in 2019, the executive director of the Bank of England thinks it's real as well. It was Victoria Cleland who said that there would be a big bang cutover to a new system. And we know Bank of England has been a Ripple partner for many years now. And she explained that it would be a big bang cutover to the new system, and then it would run parallel with the old system for a period of, I think it was 6 months or so, in case something were to go wrong, they could easily go back to the old system that runs parallel to it. And that made so much sense to me when I heard it. That, and believe me, to this day, I think it would be crazy for any of us to think that for the many years that Ripple has been in business and working with the different partners and banks around the world, they've been running simulation data from day one. They know exactly what the price of XRP needs to be, don't you think?
Absolutely. Not only do I think that, I think they've planned for it, because with the banking system, you can't just do anything randomly. You can't just hope that the price is at a certain point. You plan for these things years in advance. And I think they know exactly where it's going to be at any particular time. And I also think it's quite possible that the lawsuit ends and the announcement that Ripple is going to go public is announced, which will bring in massive liquidity on the retail side right before this kind of a thing would happen. So I think these could be not that far apart, where we see a flood of money coming in once the lawsuit is over, with people, now wanting to buy XRP and own this as it's gaining momentum. And then you've got the 1-2 punch I talked about in that podcast, where now you've got Ripple saying that they're going public. That's another big boost, because we know that they own the XRP escrow. And that is something that David Schwartz has said that if they wanted to, they could sell to the public and create a lot of value within Ripple stock. So that's going to get people all excited about the value of Ripple. And that is going to, cause the domino effect of XRP going up higher, which is the liquidity that they would need in order to flip the switch. What do you think?
Oh, I just think I'm not sure you could actually say it any better, to be honest. I mean, there is the idea and understanding, and I did speak to someone at Swell back in 2019, and we were discussing, because it had just been announced that this is another way to get value, I believe, to the ledger and to the native token XRP as well, and it's by collateralizing the ledger, right? And I believe that if you look at some of these projects, and I had this conversation before, and I just want to make sure I lay this out properly. I know we talked so much before we started this show today, and I just want to make sure I lay this out exactly the way it was given to me. But we talked about the idea that you could launch stable coins, because it was brand new, just announced before we went to Swell 2019 from David Schwartz. And, I had actually spoke to him there, and everybody was meeting, and it was so incredible. And one of the really valid points that he made was, if you look at some of the stable coin projects that have existed up until now, they're all backed by one thing, one asset. And that in that lies the flaw. Because if you could take a project and back it and collateralize it by a percentage of many different assets of value, you could ensure that there wouldn't be a collapse. So, the conversation we were having was, if you could collateralize oil and then metals and stocks and bonds and cash reserves from all the different countries around the world, then you could really have and even backed by gold, as you suggested too, that's revalued for some kind of a global reset or a debt jubilee, however you want to see it. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, anytime a fiat currency has failed, and fiat currencies, that's money backed by nothing, as you know, which is what our currencies are today. Fiat currencies have failed 100% of the time. There has never been a fiat currency that has not failed. And we are at that point, I believe, where our fiat currencies are in the failure phase. And in order to go into the next phase, what you have to do is reestablish faith and confidence. And to do that, they will set it to the gold standard. So that has always been the way to come out of a fiat currency, is to go into a new currency, a new US note, if you will, and have that pegged or backed by gold or other natural resources. And I think by resetting the value of gold higher, it helps, because there isn't enough gold to back everything right now. So setting the price higher changes that equation. And that's where I think the value of gold has to be reset. And so do other assets have to be reset higher. But I also want to go back to what you said about the stable coins, because we have a problem with Tether, I believe. And that is that Tether has said that it's backed 1-to-1 with US dollars, but in fact, it's not. And I think that there could be a real problem with Tether in the future, where it's just not a reliable stable coin, and that could cause some systemic issues as well. What do you think?
I think you make a good point, and it has been really in the crosshairs of, whether it's the New York district attorney or whether it's the U.S. government. Tether has got some issues, it would appear. And, I often say on my show, and look, I could be wrong about this too. We speculate a lot. These are my digital perspectives, right? Not financial advice. But I believe that the USD coin, which is Circle, backed by Goldman Sachs, is the unofficial retail digital dollar for the United States. And if you look at the amount of liquidity they've been able to build and create in such a short amount of time on these crypto exchanges, I imagine it this way. If the Fed or the Treasury come out collectively and this becomes a reality, the United States is instantly leapfrogged in front of China and their digital yuan, just like that. What do you think, Linda?
Yeah, I agree with that. And we need these central bank digital currencies to be competitive. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want a central bank digital currency that I could have a direct account with the Fed, and I don't want them understanding what my purchases are, and I don't want to go to bed with $100 in the bank and wake up with 97 because they've imposed negative interest rates. That's a wholesale back-end coin that they can have all to themselves. Your thoughts?
Well, I believe that there's going to be legislation in this new crypto legislation that's going to come out of Congress. There's been some discussion about having controls over what the Fed can do and cannot do. And one of the congressmen, whose name is escaping me right now, but he's been very verbal on Twitter talking about the fact that he's proposing that the Federal Reserve cannot be the one that controls these accounts. And that is going to be the saving grace for us, because then that means we can't be controlled like they are in communist countries, where, they're having some sort of social credit score. And if you're not doing things the way they like them, they can lock you out of certain things or, not give you access to your money. So that is going to stop that kind of thing from happening, which has been a fear of people as we go to digital currencies. So I think that legislation is going to be very, very important, that the Fed not control our wallets.
I think that's so well said. Were you speaking about Tom Emmer?
Yes.
Okay, so Tom Emmer, Warren Davidson also, I think, has made quite a bit of a noise on that front as well. And God bless them and everything that they're doing to try to make sure that that doesn't happen to us here, because, it would just be catastrophic to our system and certainly our way of life over time. Ladies and gentlemen, Linda P. Jones here. Final thought, Linda.
Oh, Brad, I just enjoy talking with you so much. I enjoy your show and your videos, and the good that you're doing for everyone is just amazing, how you get the word out. And it's just been a pleasure to share thoughts with you and have this conversation. Thank you so much.
Linda, I thank you for being here. You really are incredibly insightful, and I love some of the ideas that you have about what's taking shape here. Please tell everybody again how they can find you and the name of your new book.
Yes, they can find me at my website, lindapjones.com. My website, my book is 3 Steps to Quantum Wealth, The Wealth Heiress's Guide to Financial Freedom by Investing in Cryptocurrencies. And my podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever podcasts are found is called Be Wealthy and Smart.
Linda, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
My pleasure.